like the serious tone that intro evokes. You know what I mean? It's like really a real build up off of that. What's up, folks? The MCU'S Video YouTube channel and podcast. Friday, 1/31/2025. Here with so far Matthew from Board to Watch, Ryan from Beyond the Cape. What's up, fellas?
Not much.
What's up, Matthew? What's up from down under, Matthew?
The world still rolls on. Tomorrow begins, and we'll start tomorrow for you, and it's all happening down here. We're enjoying the show. As I said off air, we're enjoying the new show in the States called Trump. It's amazing.
There you go. Shout out to Trump. Shout out to Trump. We got mad love for Trump over at the MCU'S Bleeding Edge. But we're here to talk about Minority Report. 2002 Minority Report. That's what the boys here, and eventually Time Load's going to show up. That's what we're here to talk about. Really good film. I don't know if it's a sci-fi classic. You guys can tell me what you think about that. I guess it's, from what I read or whatever, basically about it, it's considered like a top-notch all-time sci-fi film. Just to start off, I'll ask you guys right off the bat, and I'll go to you first, Ryan. What was your first watch of on this movie, and then how's it holding up for you nowadays? In 2025.
Oh man, being born in the 1990, not exactly in 1990, when this movie came out, I was still very young. But this is some shit that you could believe that would definitely happen. Arrest a criminal before the crime's even committed. Federal prisons are like, man, that money's just rolling in. This was actually one of those things that's really believable compared to other sci-fi movies. I wasn't convinced at first when we saw it, but towards the end of the film, it has such a great climax and such a great ending. Even now, rewatching it a couple of weeks ago before we were on the show, man, I could see that movie holds up. I would easily put it in like the top 50 for all time of like the mid 2000s sci-fi movies.
Okay. I guess that's a good list to be on. Where are you at with Minority Report, Matthew? How's it holding up for you? You remember your first watch?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm just slightly older than Ryan, so got to catch this one quite comfortably at the cinema. Look, my love affair with Steven Spielberg runs deep and long, and obviously he's made some of the greatest movies of all time. Is this one of his best movies he's ever made? Probably not, because the top tier is incredibly hard to get into. But, mate, this is a lot of fun, this movie. It really is. It doesn't stop. It's so Spielberg. I love the performance of Tom Cruise is understated, which is quite different for him. It's quite an understated performance. But I think it's hard to argue with Ryan that it's right up there in one of the best movies of that 2000s. And it's... does it hold up? Absolutely. Could it happen? Probably. I think that a lot of, maybe a lot of law enforcement want to try and arrest criminals before the crimes are committed nowadays anyway.
Yeah.
So we're almost there. But look, I think it's definitely a good Spielberg film and thoroughly enjoyable and definitely holds up. I love the way it's shot. So I think it's groundbreaking the way it's shot, a lot of flares, and the way that it looks is just so completely different to anything Spielberg's done in the past.
What did you guys think about peak Tom Cruise? Like, this is peak Tom Cruise, you know what I'm saying? Like, if you think about it, right? He did some really interesting stuff, like after this, like after he did Minority Report, I don't know how in demand he was, but he did Edge of Tomorrow, right? Or what's the other? It's called something else too.
Live, Die, Repeat.
Live, Die, Repeat.
But Live, Die, Repeat. He did that.
Yeah.
That was fucking awesome, right? And then he did Oblivion, and Oblivion was really fucking good too. What do you think, Ryan? Like those are some solid fucking films, dude. I mean.
He did really good. The only movie that I never understood, no matter how many times I have to watch it, was goddamn Vanilla Sky. To this day, I cannot figure out what I was supposed to take away from that film. I just choose to just X that one out of his library entirely.
Oh, yeah. Well, honestly, I'm not really sure what the fuck was going on with Vanilla Sky either. What do you think? What do you think, Matthew? What do you think about peak Tom Cruise? What do you think? Oblivion was a good movie, wasn't it?
Oblivion was a great movie, but I actually think the best movie he's done probably since Jerry Maguire or Mission Impossible could be Edge of Tomorrow. I just think that movie is fucking amazing. And whilst it's the same sort of trope, it's Groundhog Day but with aliens, but it's just so good. And I'd say it's almost a perfect film. And the fact that they've not done a sequel to that yet is incredible. He's just been too busy doing Mission Impossibles. But he's in the middle of a heater here, Tom Cruise. Like, he goes Minority Report, then he's in Goldmember as Austin Powers, then he's Last Samurai, Collateral, War of the Worlds, Mission Impossible 3. Like, this is a run that sort of rivals his early run when he started with Top Gun, right? When you start with that. So,
yeah,
mate, he's without a doubt the biggest star on the planet. And it's, whether you love him or whether you hate him, the guy makes a pretty good fucking movie.
I just like those two movies are really fucking good too. Are just really good. I really like those specific movies. The Mission Impossible movies are kind of whatever to me. I enjoy them. I'm glad he's still making them. What's going on, Andre's Pop Culture Guy?
Very good. Happy to be here. Yeah, Tom Cruise, great actor. Love Minority Report, one of the best Cruise films / Steven Spielberg films. So very excited to talk about the film. And it's great to see you guys, Ryan and Matt.
I was asking the boys what they thought of like peak Tom Cruise, like Minority Report, like area Tom Cruise, like the movies he made after that, kind of like, and the ones I mentioned were like Edge of Tomorrow and like Oblivion, but he obviously did a bunch of different stuff other than that. You know what I mean? What'd you think about peak Tom Cruise?
I mean, fantastic. I think Matt now nailed it to the head with peak Tom Cruise. But let's not forget Tropic Thunder. Great supporting role. I mean, I think that's the peak Tom Cruise for me. Like, that's where it's like, okay, like this is why I love Tom Cruise. Is that, I mean, it's so fun. Like, when you get to the end of credits of Tropic Thunder, and it's like, what the hell? Freaking Tom Cruise in this movie is like crazy. He's so committed to his like movies, and like he can't disappear in the roles. Like he brought up what was the Michael Mann film Collateral. Like, I mean, a rare film for him to be a villain. And yeah, so and I love the Mission Impossible. I know I kind of get what you're saying, Jeff. Like, I think there's certain films that you can gravitate towards, but I think those films are the peak action film franchise of this decade, besides John Wick, But yeah, I love Tropic Thunder. I think that's peak Cruise for me.
Okay, and Matthew already mentioned it. So Spielberg directed the film, let's see, what did it do box office wise? It did $358 million off of a $102 million budget. It was the 10th most successful film worldwide in 2002. I can't think off the top of my head who it was competing with. Had one Academy Award nomination for something that's not interesting. And the cast was Tom Cruise, Max von Sydow, Colin Farrell, Samantha Morton, who was outstanding in the film, Neil McDonough or whatever from Band of Brothers, Patrick Kilpatrick, Michael and Matthew Dickman, Lois Smith, Caitlin Morris, Michael Binder, Steve Harris, etc., etc. So basically, the plot, the intro, or I guess the way the film starts off, it based off the Wikipedia plot synopsis. In 2054, the federal government plans to nationally implement the Washington, D.C. prototype pre-crime police program, which has been operating for 6 years. 3 clairvoyant humans, precogs, receive psychic impressions of an impending homicide, and officers analyze their visions to determine the location and apprehend the perpetrator before the crime can occur. Would-be killers are placed in an electronically induced coma and held in a how do you pronounce Pantoficon like prison facility. Although pre-crime has eliminated nearly all premeditated murders during its 6-year existence, spontaneous crimes of passion called red ball killings still occur, giving the police only a short time to act. And the movie represents this by representing them actually, proceeding to stop, Tom Cruise stops, the murder from happening or whatever with the guy that's, wife is banging the other dude or whatever. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's how it all plays out, So what do you guys think? What do you think of that introduction? How they that all like plays out. I explained, the premise, I guess, basically, right? But give me what your thoughts. Hey, what's up, J-Rat? How are you, brother?
What's up?
Hey, man. It's good to see you. So basically, if you guys want to just let me know what you think about that introductory period where they solve that crime, they arrest the guy, that whole deal. They explain how everything works. They show the precogs and all that. They kind of give the layout or whatever. I'm not sure if Colin Farrell comes into the movie right off the bat, or not. I think it's after.
I think it's after.
Yeah, it's after.
Yeah.
J-Rat, you still there? All right, J-Rat's there he is. I'll start with you, Andres. What are your thoughts on the intro?
So the intro is really effective. I mean, right at the bat, like you're like jumping into action with this pre-crime thing. Like without really like we get later on the expedition of like pre-crime, but like you get it hands-on here, seeing Tom Cruise jumping in action, and speaking of Colin Farrell, like he's actually there in the beginning, and it's very quick. He's like there. We get the the guy from McNeil from the Benson Brothers. He kind of tells his Tom Cruise that, hey, this guy from the FBI branch or whatever is here to moderate the whole like pre-crime thing, which we don't know why he's there to moderate, stuff like that. So he's just there. You see him like walking around with the the team and like seeing the operation and like asking questions. And it's really cool. I mean, Steven Spielberg, class act storyteller.
Are you sure he pops up right in the beginning, Andres?
Yeah, no, he's there. It's like he's there, like completely right there before we get into like the main meat.
Okay.
Yeah. I know it's kind of like because the first act is quick, like rapid fire, and like you don't take a minute to see that Farrell is right there before he gets into the story. But anyway, so like Steven does a really good job of like doing visual storytelling and also good exposition of like, okay, here's these three like mutate people with special abilities that can like predict the future and all that. That's how they operate. And then they see how they put these like special balls around to tell the victim's name and all that. It's all visually interesting. I like how the future looks. It's like halfway futuristic, but still like in our world. Like you still recognize Washington D.C. and it's so thrilling. I mean, first off, like I don't know how stupid the wife was. Like, I mean, she should know.
Fuck's sake.
Yeah, like fucking stupid. It's like, come on. Did you get the sense your husband was like, oh, honey, we should go out for lunch, and then like it's like, wife, crazy lady, you should know your husband is like watching you, and like it's like seeing the guy over the freaking park who was so stupid. He was like, look at like so obviously waiting for something. And it's like,
well, you could see his erection from across the road.
Yeah,
he looked like what's his name in the Acolyte when he was looking at the twins.
Oh my god, no! Oh my god, yeah, it was like that, but even more appropriate because he was like next to a park.
It's like neither of them have had sex for 6 years. Like they're like randy 17-year-old kids. It's like chill.
Yeah,
come around at 10:30, mate.
Yeah. Like, come on. Like, wait for everyone to get out there, and also wait before the kids get out. Like, that's even creepier. Like, it's like, come on, dude. You don't want one of the parents like, hey, pervert, get the hell out of here. It's like, come on. Anyway, so and then like you see Tom Cruise doing his Tom Cruise thing, which is so great. He's so good at being like tense and try to like get the thing, like get the job and mission. Sorry, I had to do that. Like like, come on, I need to get this, like, get the mission on the way and like accomplish it, like before it happens, you know. And it's like he's so good at that tensity. And then when he's like hastily like, come on, like which door is open? Like, did he leave the door open? And then bam, like got the crime and all that. And it's like, wow, a thrilling opening, like to get you into this like future film and all that. So I think it's such a great intro.
J-Rat, we're talking about the introduction of the film. What are your thoughts on the how Minority Report starts? Like the whole initial initial crime, the initial crime that they stop.
You're talking about the cheating wife?
Yeah, the cheating wife stuff.
Yeah, that was good. It was a good start off. I mean, it's very action packed. It's a Steven Spielberg film, if I'm not mistaken, right?
Yeah.
So he's pretty known for these kind of like action packed sequences. If you think about it, initially right off the jump, you get something pretty good here. I like it. The husband was leaving for work. I thought you said that he was going to go get food, but I think he was leaving to go to work, and he had a suspicion. So he was going to work, and he was like, you know what? I forgot my keys, or I forgot what he forgot, but he forgot something, right? And
glasses. He forgot his glasses.
I forgot my glasses, right? And so then he goes back inside, and then he hears all the fooling around, right? And he's just hanging out, and then the little ball comes out, has a name. And then you were talking about the whole Tom Cruise, how he's like so masterful at science fiction. He's a very good science fiction fantasy actor. That's him, action packed. He does that little with the screen where he's like zooming in and moving it with his fingers. Made it real good. For the graphics and stuff like that. And he found the doors, putting the pieces together. Where are we at? Oh, look, there's landmarks. They're looking at landmarks and stuff like that. Yeah, it was a great opening.
All right. I'll go to you next, Matthew from Born to Watch. What are your thoughts, sir?
Yeah, I think if we break it down and think about the pre-crime, I guess, purpose and how it works, if we were to try and explain that in the movie, you could get bogged down in that exposition. So I think it's better you see it in action. It's a bit like losing your virginity. You're better off to do it rather than be told how to do it. So, just get in and just knock it over. So I think that this is so great how he does it. And my first 4 notes are to do with how ridiculous the situation is, though. Like, the wife, just wait. The bloke across the street, just wait. The husband's like nervous about it. Don't invite him in. There's so many things for this to go like that could have changed the outcome for him. Look, I thought it was. Look, it's quite incredible that he's the greatest detective in the world, Tom Cruise, because he can find out exactly where the roundabout is, this merry-go-round. It's just he's Batman crossed with, Detective Somerset crossed with Sherlock Holmes. He's always the world's greatest detectives. But in terms of a piece of exposition to start the movie off, if you're not 100% in on Minority Report after the first scene, then it's not worth it. It's so good.
Okay, Ryan, wrap us up.
Yes, it was a great intro. I think what I like most is the whole precog thing, and I don't think they get later on to the film where they really describe it, but I hate a science fiction movie where it's like, yeah, so one day someone just showed up, psychic abilities, it's crazy, and then everyone started popping up. At least here they're like, yeah, these were kind of some crack children that got a little too much of some drugs, so now they're kind of tripping out, and it just so happens to be true. Which, you know what, I can believe that. I really, really enjoyed that. That scene in the house was so fucking funny to me because you have Tom Cruise knows that he's getting played upstairs and he's just like, do I go upstairs and interrupt it? But man, I could go stop crime. And he's just like in between. He's like, there's so many good ways to go about this. He's like, nope. We're gonna save the world today. One step at a time, guys. One step at a time. It was just a great intro, especially for what it leads to. Because it then just goes to nonstop action right away in a film, which There's not a lot of films that just jump right into the action like first 10 minutes.
Yeah, most definitely. It really is. Even watching it now, I felt like like everybody's already mentioned, everything looks great. Like the futuristic stuff is really well done. It's like well handled, visually, for 2002, right? Everything looks great in that opening, intro like type scene. I love how it's shot, how it looks, all of it. The special effects are great. Precon Chief John Anderton joined the program after his 6-year-old son Sean was abducted and never found. He suffers from depression and addiction to a drug called Neuroin, and his wife Laura has left him. Department of Justice agent Danny Whitwer audits the pre-prime operation, intent on uncovering any flaws. Agatha, one of the precogs, experiences a flashback to a woman's drowning as Anderton watches, and she grabs his ass and shit. He scares the shit out of him and everything. Curious, he learns from the prison warden. Love the guy that plays that character in the movie, that the intended victim, Anne Lively, went missing shortly after her murder was prevented. However, he also discovers that Agatha's vision of the crime is not on file. Soon afterward, the precogs predict that Anderton will kill a man named Leo Crow, whom he has never met. Anderton flees, prompting Whitwer to begin a manhunt. So obviously that's what we see, like another, really great action scene when, Tom Cruise's Anderton takes off, right, and runs from like all of the precog agents and all that. That's a pretty, big stretch of the film right there. And that's when Colin Farrell's character jumps in there too at the end, and kind of like chases him for a while too before he gets away. That section of the film right there. Going back to you, Ryan, what are your thoughts on that part of the movie?
That was just great. I love that they made a movie and they started off right in the beginning. They're like, we made the perfect machine. There is zero flaws to this. Crime is at an all-time low. And they're like, all right, let's backtrack. There's like a 1% flaw mixture in this, but we assure you that 1% completely okay. And it's just nice because the movie's willing to like kind of show the flaw in this perfect society right away and show you that no matter how perfect you get in preventing something, there's always going to be that chance of error, and that chance of error is such a huge difference. I mean, now we have Tom Cruise on the run, which is really great because, again, Jack Reacher, I love the show on Amazon, but I didn't mind Tom Cruise as Jack Reacher. He's just doing what he does best, and that is just karate chopping everyone in the damn face and just slipping right out of a precinct without any problem. And we're talking about peak Tom Cruise. I think that Mission Impossible is great, but I think this movie showcased a lot of his physical prowess before he started really getting into his later films, and you really saw him kind of go hand-to-hand fighting.
Yeah, I mean, in that one section, like it seems like they've got him. There's like 9 of them, and he still runs and gets away from him or whatever. He like grabs the guy with the jetpack and rides him and shit, or whatever. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
What do you think, Jay Rent, about that section of the film? The whole like the precogs calling out Anderton as the next murderer, and then him fleeing.
It was interesting because, and the Anderton is remind me, the
Tom Cruise guy.
I feel like I kind of feel like we were getting ahead right there because it kind of happens like it doesn't happen like right at the beginning, does it? I feel like there's some things that happen before that.
That's what happens after the introduction of the movie. Right after that, it
goes
right to him.
They still have the interaction with the they have the interaction with the agent, right? That agent, he's interacting with him first.
The Colin Farrell agent guy, And they go in the tank, and he wants to see the precogs and all that stuff.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and then
yeah.
and they don't initially have that murder happen until he starts questioning about the hiccup, because that's when he finds out about the hiccup, and he goes and he talks to the chief about it and says, hey, there's a discrepancy here,
Yeah.
but nobody else knows the discrepancy of it. That's the thing, that nobody else knows the discrepancy. He does, and he figures that out with the hiccups. He's like, so this is a hiccup here, and he's like starting to put
That's the minority report. The minority report part. That's why it's called minority report.
Right, exactly. So he starts figuring that out, and he's like, well, this isn't right here. And that's when the other guy's like feels like he has no choice but to kill him.
Yeah.
And frame Anderson with it, like Tom Cruise. You know what I mean? He frames him, and you get to the part where I know you mentioned where he escapes with the precog, the girl.
No, not when he escapes
That's
with the
right
girl.
at the end.
No, I'm talking about when he just flees in general. When he just leaves. When he takes off because they're going after him.
That's right. He has to go. Okay. Yeah, it was pretty interesting, that he knows the whole system, so he kind of knows how to figure all of that out and run, and he knows what to expect. And with them chasing him was pretty interesting. It was a good sequence. It was good for the movie to get that point started, to kind of see where it goes, and then he having to figure out what happened, and he doesn't know what happened. You know what I mean? He just feels set up with it, and well, not set up. He knows why, because the only reason why he would feel that he would actually kill. He's trying to figure out why he's says that he would kill somebody, and then to get to that part.
All right, and thanks. I'm glad you brought up that part, Jay Rent. That you're right. I did leave some stuff out there. Andres, the pop culture guy, what do you think, sir?
Yeah. So this section is really good. I mean, it's sort of the slow part a little bit, like just intense. We get to know our characters a lot in this film. Like we get, the idea of like, John, played by Tom Cruise, his character, what motivates him, why he's doing this job, like why he's so like committed to this pre-crime thing versus, Colin Farrell's character, who's the FBI, who wants to like see the flaw of the pre-crime thing. Like, is there anything like legitimately wrong, and like can it be flawed as like any other like procedure and all that, like courts and all that, and like it's interesting, and you see that he has this personal tragedy that happened to him, with his kid disappearing, and so like he's so obsessed of like.
That's
like,
right. He's on drugs. He's buying drugs off the street and shit like a crackhead.
Yeah, and he's this like Nicolas Cage living in Las Vegas, basically just being this destructive, and at the same time working at the same time. It's crazy. And someone brought this up. I think it was Matt or someone brought up Batman. Like he's literally Batman. It's like he has this like motivation, obsession of like preventing the crime that happened to him, so that anyone doesn't feel the pain that he has. It's like almost like that. And it's like, okay, I relate to this character. Speaking of the drugs, that drug dealer was creepy. When I was a kid, like see his non-eyes was like, whoa. I mean, like it was freaking John Carpenter, like the thing. It was like, oh my god, what kind of feature is this? I mean, he has a good, a cute puppy. At least he has a buddy there, to talk to. But that was creepy. And his apartment was a mess. I was like, how do you keep yourself like what is it, like sanitize yourself? Like, does he take a bath? Does he clean his apartment? And the way he throws the cereal, it was like, wow, you really like hate life. So yeah, I like this section. It gets us great character development. By the way, I love the police team with the jetpacks. That's such a great action scene. It was so brutal, and I love the sticks. And something that has come true is the camera with the ID thing. That's something that could be possible in real life. Like we kind of had that, with ATMs and all that. So that was kind of true a little bit.
They have those fucking guns too. They have those guns that like propel people in the air.
Yeah. Oh my god, yeah. And I don't know what you guys think of this, but like when rewatching this, it reminded me of the Men in Black guns. You know, those, like, oh my god, it reminded me of that. I don't know if it's the same production team from that movies, but oh my god, those guns are look so cool. So yeah, great section. We get to know our characters. You know what motivates them, and great action scenes all around.
All right, Matthew, Born to Watch. What are your thoughts, sir?
Yeah, I think it's good. We get given the villain of the piece in Colin Farrell, and he's a very hard man to like at the start of this movie. But I think it's also one of the best scenes, or one of the best parts of the movie, is when Anderson gets to the elevator and Farrell has chased him inside the elevator, and he goes, "We haven't seen a red ball yet." And then the alarm goes off, and the look on Farrell's face is like, "Oh fuck, like I'm in trouble here." And then, so I think that's really good, just lining up how we get that fake villain in Farrell, who eventually later on in the movie comes around. But it also, we get to see just exactly how good Batman is at his job, how he can just escape any situation that he's put into. I think it's, learning the backstory about his son. I remember that once, look, watching this movie before I had kids was very easy. Watching the movie now that I've got kids, thinking about what would I do if my son got stolen is a bit of a different viewing. But look, I think it's cool. It's a little bit of a slowdown. We learn more about the precogs. I think it's just we take a breath for about 4 minutes or 5 minutes, and then it ramps up again to the chase again. And I just really love that scene in the elevator with Cruise and Farrell. I think that's excellent.
Yeah, most definitely. After that, basically, when he does actually escape, that's when Anderton visits Dr. Iris Heinzman, a geneticist whose research led to the creation of pre-crime, and learns that the precog's abilities are from birth, the result of, and like Ryan said, brain damage caused by their parents' addiction to early impure forms of neuron or whatever during pregnancy. Hyman explains that one precog occasionally sees a different future vision from the others, known as the Minority Report. These discrepancies are purged from the official record to maintain the precog's reputation of infallibility, but the precogs retain their memories. If Anderton does have a Minority Report, Hyman says, it will most likely have been generated by Agatha, since she is the strongest of the three precogs. After that, we get the whole eye transplant, scene. And now that is like its own, like, deserves its own conversation. That is a fucking great scene. That just the way that all plays out. Matthew, what do you think about that? Anderton going and talking to the chick that started precog and all that, right? And finding out about the Minority Report, and then having the eye surgery before he goes on his mission to get the precog.
Okay, so I think this is a scene that we needed to have. We needed to go back to the source to get the full exposition after the high intensity start. We needed this break in the movie so that we could fully explain and be told what's going on, so that we're all across it. I think that's really cool. She's great, the old lady. It's a bit weird when she kisses him, but you got to take your chance when you get it, I guess, with Tom Cruise. But look, I think then we obviously then move into the eye surgery, and Peter Stormare, he makes every movie better that he's in. Like, he is so fucking good, right? And the fact that his nose is dripping with snot, and he's got that cold, and he says, I could cut you open and sew a cat inside you and you'd be fine with no infection with the drugs I'm going to give you. He just sets the scene, and it actually reminded me a little bit of the Joker in the original '89 Batman, where he's in that dirty, when he's getting his operation, just in the dirty surgery, and then the the nurse comes out and she's like taking a piss behind. Like everything is just so bad. Like it is the worst thing of the worst. And then as he injects him, tells him that, oh, look, you know, I was the dodgy plastic surgeon that used to burn people so I could operate on them. It's just making you think this is the worst situation that you could be in. He's already been injected, so he's useless. It's just such a cool scene. I think that, we even go, we start to see the lengths that he would go to, that he's going to prove his innocence. And obviously, as a viewer, you're sort of like, well, it's quite obvious to us that this guy's not a killer. Like he's doing all this stuff, but you know, we don't get that till later on that it becomes obvious to them. But I guess then when he wakes up, he gets given 12 hours. He eats the shit out of the fridge. Like everything's just going bad for him. The question is that surely as a policeman, when he knows the routine that's going to happen when they search the building, they scan, and I don't know whether we're up to this, but they scan the building. There's 27 people in the building, right? He should know then and there that they already know there's 27 people in the building. Hiding in the bath doesn't make a difference anymore, right? He doesn't need to do that because that's actually just going to make him burst into the room. So he's going to have to open the bandage to scan the eye. Now, we know that he could go blind, but I just think everything just goes wrong for him for 15 minutes, but he finds a way to get out of it. And then obviously the question is that, again, amazing police work. The first building they search is the building that he's in, right? Without any prior knowledge that he might be going to that building, the first building they search. And I know, like, at least make an illusion that I want to get home. This is the 10th building we've searched. But it's like, okay, let's just get this over and with. Let's send 8 spiders. It's the first building. I'm over it. And it's like, okay, all right, perfect. The whole police department's Batman. They're just the best detectives ever. But it's a great part that Peter Stormare, he's almost a highlight of the movie. He's in it for 7 minutes.
All right. Ryan.
If you ever needed to watch a scene in a movie that showed you the shadiest back alley surgery center, that is like the perfect summed up thing. And having been on a mission trip before for my job, I can assure you that is not far off from some other country operating. Now, fun fact of the day for everyone, you cannot transplant a whole eye. I can squash that right now. You can only do parts of it. But it was so cool because you saw like the futuristic part of this movie. And a lot of it you could kind of believe, but a lot of it was very simple. This was like the first part where the science fiction of some guy just in a random building is like, yeah, I'll replace your eyes. No big deal. I am amazed by the brass balls that Tom Cruise had, that this guy knows that like, as soon as I put you to sleep, like, I could take everything about you and I could give it to other people. I could put you on blast. I can completely ruin your life because you are the enemy, technically. And he's like, you know what? It's worth it. It's worth a shot. It's the future. Like, you're telling me this is the only guy you could go to? You can't try 5 other damn buildings? How many of these people did you bust that you know that they're there to at least try it? That was kind of amazing to me. But the scene that really sets this movie, and it's even in the trailer, and I think that's what got everyone, is when he's in that bathtub, and I don't know if they got this, and you see the spider just crawling slowly up right at the bandage before he like quickly peels it off to do that eye scanning. That is kind of what sets that whole movie. Like, that is like the peak scene where you're like, all right, this is a cool movie, hands down. That whole middle scene, I think that's really where we start to see the thriller part of it, the science fiction, kind of everything blends together. And you could tell we're at the peak and we're now it's just gonna be a straight cinematic kind of finale as we get to this halfway point and go to the end.
It's really fucking gross. He goes to go to the refrigerator and he gets like the fucking wrong sandwich. Like, he gets the old sandwich instead of the good one. He gets the old one and takes a bite of it, spits it out, goes and gets the milk, gets the spoiled milk, not the good milk, drinks from the spoiled milk, and then like pukes that out or whatever, and then like drinks like some of the surgery water or whatever, the eyeball water or whatever.
Yep.
On top of that shit. Oh my god. What do you think, Andre's pop culture guy? Did you freeze up? I guess he did. Time Lord. All right.
He's gone. He's gone.
Time Lord, I think you're having technical difficulties, sir. J-Red 2000.
Okay. Well, while he's getting back, I have some really good information that we kind of didn't touch base. So I'm gonna like backtrack just a little bit. But what I was gonna mention is that when his little ball comes down and he sees his name, nobody else knows that his ball came out with his name on it, right? He's in the room, and then so like real quick, he starts looking at all the images from the visions of what like where it's taking place, all of that. So he's getting information before everybody figures out his name, right? And he's looking at this and he's like, he's thinking in his head, why am I going to kill somebody? I have no reason to kill anybody, right? And so then he finds out when he goes to talk to that lady at the mother of the precogs, or who helped kind of put them together. This is where he kind of finds out about like, hey, it says I killed somebody, tell me about the Minority Report. And that's when she was like, there's a Minority Report, you're going to have to find out and go there and find out who had the different visions, right?
That's why he has to have the eye surgery. Yeah.
Yeah, because he's got to go back into there, which is going to lead up to him this part of the eye surgery. But the whole thing about him going there is to find out like why do I kill this person, or is there a different vision? Because I don't know why I would kill this person that I've never seen in my life before. What's the reason? And then we meet it where he's, obviously he's got to do the eye surgery. It's his way that he needs to sneak back into the police station or the cognitive station, whatever it is called. Then they go through that whole scene of doing it. Yeah, it's real shady. It's a pretty interesting way to look at the future, like, because everything, I mean, you think about it now, I mean, it doesn't seem like we're far away from, having eye scanners for certain things now too, you know what I mean? So that doesn't seem very abstract. It seems pretty near future, which this is kind of supposed to take place is in the near future. And them taking out the eyeballs, that's pretty extreme, for somebody to have to come down to that. But I guess if you're being, hunted for murder, you really don't have a lot of options with the way they can catch you, because all they got to do is scan their eyeballs in a location and it's automatically going to populate, which we got an example of that when they switched out his eyeballs. And after he kind of woke up from that, and it was like, hello, Mr. Hakamoto. And, hey, Mr. Hakamoto, you want to buy some shoes? And so everywhere he looked, it was this Chinese guy. He had some Chinese eyeballs that were being scanned, and all he was doing was looking straight, So I guess the extremes of having to do that, he really had no choice. And maybe that's like a uncommon practice, like in that type of future under the table or whatever. And that was a neat concept, because I don't think we've seen anything similar to that in any other movie.
So after I guess we lost Andres for a minute. He told me on Facebook that he'll be right back. So we lost him for a minute. When he comes back, we're gonna back into the show. But so basically, we have the eye transplant surgery scene, right? And Tom Cruise, escapes that whole situation. Basically, he has the eye surgery, to be able to evade the retinal scanners installed all over the city, like J-Rat was mentioning, and then returns to pre-crime using his removed old eyes, which he kept after the transplant surgery. He enters the temple, the precog place where the precogs are kept, and kidnaps Agatha, who's playing, what's the actress name that plays that character?
Samantha Morton.
Yeah.
Samantha Morton. Yeah, I think this is one of her first films where she really stood out. So basically kidnaps Agatha, shutting down the group mind on which pre-crime depends. With the assistance of a cyber criminal, Anderton searches Agatha's memories, but fails to find a Minority Report for Crow's murder. However, he finds and downloads her memories of Anne's death. The two track Crow to a hotel room and find photos of many children, including his son, Sean. Anderton accuses Crow of killing Sean and nearly kills him, but relents at the last moment to place him under arrest. Crow then claims he was hired to plant the photos and begs Anderton to kill him, saying that his family will only be paid if he dies. When Anderton still refuses, Crow kills himself in a manner similar to the precog's vision of Anderton killing him. So I'll stop there. I'll go to you first, Ryan. What do you think about that section of the movie, sir?
So we the best part about this was we come back from like the peak sci-fi, this, like I said, the peak moment, the spiders crawling on him, scanning his eyes. And now we transition into what makes this movie the second part, this whole detective story that we're talking about. I like that in this movie, they didn't rush like the field work. Unlike his predecessors who could just pick one goddamn building in a city of infinite skyscrapers and be like, we got him. He actually had to do some footwork. I mean, he was also willing to risk it and literally go into a building where everyone is pretty much on a shoot to kill order for him.
Oh, he used that fucking that spike thing too that the drug dealer gave him. He used that face scrambler too.
Yeah. So I mean, he was really taking some chances because he really wanted to get to the bottom of this. And I think this is the part of the film that just really highlights what makes it so good is that blend of sci-fi to just normal thriller and detective work. Number one, too, he took this precog. He knows very little about her. You are literally taking someone with psychic abilities who says that they have a mental condition from drugs, pulling them out of a tank, and like, did he even think like, what am I gonna do with her? He had to think pretty much 12 steps ahead to get in place, because once you take her and you're out of the precinct, I mean, you have to have, what is my next step? So I really like this part of the film because everything is starting to you're starting to get a resemblance of what exactly is going on here and how is it all linked to him and the bigger picture.
Okay. Well, and what do you think, J-Rat? I really like these scenes. I really like the Agatha characters part of this part of the movie with her.
Yes, this part of the movie with her is awesome. If we're going as far as getting to where he meets the person that he's supposed to kill, they does it happen when he's walking with her through like the mall and she's like, stop right here?
Yeah.
And she's like, hold me just a little longer. And then they go and she's like, grab that umbrella. And he grabs the umbrella and then they go outside and it starts raining. And she and they do the whole thing. That, man, just that little sequence right there with her, like, predicting the exact moments in time for them to elude them. That was awesome. That was well done. I love that part. We get to the part where he sees the killer, or he sees the guy that he's supposed to kill, and he doesn't know who he is, right? But before they get there, she's like, stop, because there was no minority report for him. He was going to kill this person, right? That was like the definitive, because he was trying to say like, oh, look, there's a chance that I wasn't, right? She was like, you can still change it. Don't go in there. No, don't do it. You can still change it. You can still make a choice. And she was trying to stop him, like, hey, don't do that, because if she didn't do that, she didn't say those things, after he saw all those pictures of kids on the bed and finding a picture of his son, she was like, no, you're right. I am going to kill this man. And it, like, without her there, if he would have found all that without it, he would have killed that guy. But in like some instance, because of the situation and events, he was able to stop, right? And he didn't kill him. And then that's when we find out, like, you're supposed to kill me. I won't get paid. My family won't get paid if you don't kill me. And then like it all breaks loose from there. but just that whole scene with Agatha, like you mentioned, being that you really like it. I really like it too. I thought it was the probably one of the pivotal scenes in the movie, the best scenes, and it gets better with her too after this scene.
Okay, Matthew.
Yeah, I thought it was good. It was, like, it's funny that Ryan, you mentioned earlier about Vanilla Sky. Well, he zaps his chin and turns into the guy from Vanilla Sky, right? And he doesn't look that much different, to be honest. But the thing I don't get is that he wouldn't there be an alarm set off the minute that he scans into the police station. So that's probably the biggest flaw of the whole movie, is that and I actually got a question about it with his son as well. Like, surely they've got eye scanners and they pick the son up when he gets taken. They can track the son. Like, was this technology not invented at this stage? So I think there's quite a bit of a hole in the plot there. But yeah, okay, I'll suspend disbelief and believe that the state-of-the-art police station isn't going to have an alarm when a guy who's wanted for murder from internal goes back into the place. And not only that, there's no way to get out of here. And then suddenly he just pulls the plug and, and then he goes, I don't know where that thing goes. I'm pretty sure you should know where that goes. But I think it's great. I think Samantha Morton is awesome. I love the bit in the shopping centre. I love the bit when she's saying, grab the umbrella, wait for the balloons. I think that this is just a really cool part of the movie. Again, and Ryan, you mentioned about the detective part. This is the bit where it really becomes a detective movie, and the sci-fi element is sort of left behind. I'm also mildly, excited about the going into one of those chambers. And, I tell you what, I'm not going to be having people telling me that I'm the man, and I'm definitely going to have 7 naked women all over me, just finding out what that feels like. But I think that, again, I think it's a really cool part. The chase is on, and again, he just seems to be that one step ahead, or the police department seems to be, one step behind all the time. But again, Samantha Morton is great in this. I think she, again, with not very much to do, but she plays a key part, and yeah, so cool part. Love it.
Okay, most definitely. I really enjoyed her in this film. I think this is really when she kind of broke out, was right around Minority Report. She was all right. She was on The Walking Dead for a couple of years. As like a villain on The Walking Dead. I don't know if any of you guys caught that, but so tipped off by Anderton, Whitwer investigates Anne's case and finds discrepancies to suggest that she had indeed been murdered. He reports his findings to Lamar Burgess, director of pre-crime, who kills him with Anderton's gun, safe in the knowledge that the offline precogs cannot reveal him to be Whitmer's murderer. Anderton takes Agatha to Laura's house, where they're finally tracked down by a tactical team of pre-crime officers after Laura, reports him, basically, to the pre-crime guy, to Burgess. Anderton is arrested and imprisoned for the murders of Crow and Whitwer, and Agatha is returned to the other precogs. After Anderton's imprisonment, Laura discusses Anderton's concerns about Anne Lively with Burgess. Burgess initially denies any recollection of Anne Lively, but later in the same conversation says he will look into her drowning, a detail Laura never mentioned. She becomes suspicious and breaks Anderton out of prison, allowing him to confront Burgess at a banquet celebrating the national launch of pre-crime. So I'll go to you, Matt. What do you think about that section of the film right there, sir?
Yeah, we're wrapping things up here, and it's happening like in fast forward, really. He gets caught, he gets put in prison. Again, we don't see the wife gets the eye to be able to get into the prison with the gun to break him out. Look, I think that I don't think there's enough time given to the whole conspiracy behind this. I think that they probably need to. It seems to be that that the whole Max von Sydow character is the big bad, but there's not enough time spent with him. It's actually reminds me maybe a little bit like, like bloody Snoke in The Last Jedi, where he's built up to be this guy, but there's not enough time with him. We don't really get. We find the motives, but I just don't think we get enough time with it. But again, I think it. I really like the wife. She has a bit of a moment too for the next sort of 5 or 6 years where she's in quite a bit of a few things. But I think again, this is probably for me. This is the weak point. I just think that that it feels like the movie's gone for so long. It's been so action packed, and then we're trying to really sum it up really quickly. But look, it works. There's no doubt it works. But I think that there could have been a bit more time spent here. That's all.
Okay, I get where you're coming from. I definitely do. Andres, we're talking about we're getting close to the end of the movie. We're not quite there yet. We're talking about the banquet where Anderton, or we're talking about where Anderton, gets caught and actually goes to prison. When he goes to with the precog Agatha to see his his ex-wife Laura or whatever her house. And then, how the wife goes and talks to Burgess and, becomes suspicious about, the death of, the Anne Lively death and all that. You know what I mean? And then, so she breaks, Anderton out of prison and all that. We're talking about that part of the film.
Sure.
You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah. Do you know can I pick up the other stuff I missed so I can address that just quickly as possible?
Oh yes, you go ahead, sir.
Yeah. So So before I got cut out, first this movie is very gross. Like, I think this is the most grossest film I ever seen in my life. I mean, I've seen other gross films before, but man, that I think was just so crazy. Like, I don't know what Steven was drinking. Like, maybe he was drinking too many Kalalas or beers. It's like, I'm gonna make this my hard edge sci-fi film, and like I'm gonna go the farthest I had gone so far, besides killing Samuel L. Jackson and like ate half his arm there with a raptor in Jackson Park. So he went out there. It's really gross. Very iconic scene. I remember. And then after that he gets the precog played by Samantha Moore, and this is the part where this is the part I always miss for the film. Because I always seen this movie like from the beginning to the end, but I always miss this part for some reason. So I missed the part that he maybe saw the child abductor, but then he's just a fake out to make this crime to happen, to make this happen. And that was a cool twist. And I thought that was really handled well. And speaking of peak Tom Cruise, I mean, his emotions, like him just he just goes to a roller coaster. And I think that scene just shows you how good he is as an actor. And then, obviously, after that, we, see that Colin Farrell's character, sees that something's not adding up right, like just like an old-fashioned detective, that something's not adding up. It was all set up. So right away he's now turning into being the side with John, that this was all like planted and like staged, like any fake crime. And so that's good, and I'm happy that Colin Farrell changed that. And then you get to Max von Sydow, who's a great actor, love him. You think he's with your side of the hero, and then all of a sudden the twist is he's actually the killer, and he's trying so desperately to keep not only his crime completely under the rug, but also make this pre-crime happen to kind of make the future a better world. So he's this very interesting, complex character that's trying everything in his power to make this happen, but also he has a dark side as well that's really creepy. And speaking of another iconic scene, besides the eye thing, when Samantha Moore, the precog lady,
like tells this like the story to the Tom Cruise and the wife. I agree with Matt. Like the wife comes so late into the story, like it's it's kind of hard to like kind of care for her because we don't get the side of her story like Tom is. Like you sympathize with Tom because like he feels guilty of like not protecting his son. Like I get that, and like it's like I'm with that character where with the mom, it's like kind of hard because you don't hear her side and like how she's feeling, which like I get it. But I think we need more of that instead of just like little bits of it. I think she had to be more in the movie. So I agree with Matt, what was Matt saying about that. But my God, when she say to John like you need to run again, and then he say what, and then she does this like scream like run, and then like everyone comes in and is like, oh my God, just like, oh God, that's so intense, and like her scream just scares me when I was a kid. And so yeah, so that part, Anderson, getting arrested and all that like was really not what I was expecting. And when we get into the ending, the end, I have some problems with it, but we'll get into that.
Okay, Ryan.
One of the things that I probably hate, and probably the only thing that I hated about this movie the most, was getting rid of Whitwer this early on in the movie. I would have been fine if they had just maimed Colin Farrell, or just like, oh, perfect, I took out the only person that could stop me. He's not going anywhere. But just outright take Colin Farrell out. Just let Colin Farrell do what Colin Farrell does best, and that's be Colin Farrell in everything he does. He nails it. I really wish they would have, like, secretly he would have come back somehow in the ending. That was really disappointing to me when they're like, no, he's just flat out dead.
Yeah, it kind of comes out of nowhere almost.
Yeah, it was really heartbreaking. What I do like the most, I don't know if we necessarily got there, but it was when she was either confronting Burgess or somewhere in between, and she just holds up like a plastic baggie with her husband's eyes in it and is like, I want to know where my husband is. I was like, this is the best.
That's when she breaks him out of prison.
Breaks him out, yeah.
That was the best moment. She just pulls out like the sandwich bag, and they're just dangling in the bag. That was funny as hell to me. I laughed so hard seeing that, as someone just like, let's see what I got. I got my keys. I got my phone. Couple of eyes. She, just whips it out. No problem. I would have to agree with Matt. This is my only other issue with this ending is you did not really introduce a villain this entire movie. You've introduced a case that we're trying to solve, and you are probably 20 minutes from being done with this film. You're like, all right, here's the villain. You hate him. You're going to keep hating him, and we're going to finish it right now. I don't even know if I really hate him, because he's still trying to save the world by putting bad people away. I mean, he's not, I don't even know if I really hate him, or I can disagree with him, because he did put potential murderers away. So is he a bad guy? I don't know. There's not enough time for me to make that connection. That was a little disappointing.
Okay, J-Rap. So,
this scene, I want to be totally on the opposite side of everybody on this one. There's a lot of really good stuff that happens here that we're forgetting. We're forgetting the story of her talking about their son growing up. Nobody mentioned the story about him talking about the son growing up. That was a real important. That was a real how do you say it, to get the audience from a movie perspective, get your audience invested emotionally, right? They started talking about the son. He's in high school. He's got a girlfriend. He falls in love, and it makes you sad. You think about it, right? Because Tom Cruise and the wife, they start crying, right? Because they can imagine their son growing up. He's a track star. He met a beautiful woman. He asked him to marry him. And us as an audience, I don't know about you, but like movies like that, they try to touch your sweet spot. You're like, oh man, they're digging into my chest now. They're trying to touch my heart. you know. So they give you action, they give you some investment emotionally, then you start to feel, you know, he's running, but he can't run fast enough because he's only 2 years old, or he's only 5 years old, you know. And then she gives him all of this beauty, and then she like practically takes it away, right? But he can't run fast enough. He's running to his dad, but he can't run fast enough because he's only 5, and like shuts it down. And then now that your guard is down as an audience member, that's when she goes to the part. She's like, but he needs you to run again, just like his dad. Because that's what it was. She's running just like his dad used to run. And she's like, but now he needs you to run again. And he's like confused, right? Because like she was saying this whole story. And she's like, you're going to have to run. And he's like, what? And then she does that whole run, and it's all loud. So like you're off guard as an audience member. And now this happens. You're like, whoa, what the hell? I was a second to go from crying. Now I'm like, what the heck's going on? This is the only part that I have a disagreement on, is that if you watch a movie where there's a killer or there's a villain, it's a murder mystery. And typically in murder mysteries, you don't know who the murderer is until the end of the movie. When you get there, you know, think about Scream. We don't know who the killer is until the end of the movie. So if you put it into that aspect, it's like the same, but it's more sci-fi. It's set up a little different, but it has the end result. You're like, well, who's setting up Tom Cruise? You know, or I think we get there once we find out after he kills him, you know, and then about everybody else doesn't know it, but now we know at that point up until when he gets confronted. And we find out at this point in time, the reason why he does it, it was not really because of just stopping crime. That was part of it, right? It's the idea of like break an omelet to make some eggs. You can't make an omelet without breaking some eggs. That was the idea. But it was because it was about his legacy. And this is what he wanted to be remembered by. So he put that always wanted to be remembered on top of, you know, I'm going to do whatever it takes aspect of it. And so it fit very well up until when, you know, he got arrested. They put him in the slammer. The only rebuttal I have on any of that is the wife growing a pair to actually go get him out. Like, that was pretty brave of her. With, you know, damn, you know, I hope, you know, my significant other will, you know, make some leaps and bounds to try to sneak into a jail cell and try to break me out, whatever the case may be. Obviously, it wasn't that hard to get into if she was able to get in there, you know. But other than that, you know, I enjoyed that.
The guy was like, you don't have authorization or something like that, right?
Like, how the fuck did you get in here?
That's exactly what he said. He's like, you don't have authorization.
Yeah, how'd you get in here? I just walked in.
So anyways, all right. So at the banquet, Anderton puts a call through to Burgess on his cell phone, confronting the director with the crime recurring in Agatha's memory that Burgess is trying to conceal. And a neuron addict and Agatha's mother had given up custody of Agatha sometime later. She broke her habit and tried to reclaim her daughter. Desperate to preserve pre-crime, Burgess hired a man to kill Anne, knowing that pre-crime would intervene, then killed her himself in the predicted manner afterward as a cover-up. The pre-crime technicians, trained to disregard the second murder vision as an echo of the first one, deleted the record. Once Anderton began to investigate, Burgess arranged for Crow to pose as Sean's abductor in order to provoke Anderton to murder. A red ball report comes in indicating that Burgess will kill Anderton. As the two men face each other down, Anderton points out the dilemma facing Burgess. He can spare Anderton and watch pre-crime be discredited and shut down, or validate the program by killing him and going to prison. Burgess asks Anderton forgiveness before killing himself. And then Anderton and Laura reconcile, with Laura becoming pregnant with another child. Pre-crime is abandoned, and the prisoners are pardoned and released. Though many remain under police surveillance, the precogs are moved to an undisclosed location to live out in the wilderness, out in the peace. And so that's the end of the movie. So Andre's a pop culture guy. What are your closing arguments, sir?
Okay. I really like the ending up to the Max character, him getting killed by John, and then I dislike the epilogue for entirely for like I don't like the epilogue, which I'll get into. But I thought this, like as Jared said before, I like when after we get the mystery out of the way, we find out who's the killer. It's always cool to see how the killer is gonna get get taken down by our hero, and John does it in such a great way. Like it feels like a sci-fi Mission Impossible, scenario. Like you see, Ethan Hunt. It's like, okay, you need to do that. Like it's almost like Rogue Nation, where he had to like convince like Summerlin to like let go Simon Pegg's character because he memorized all the account. Here he's like distracting Mac's character, and while the audience is seeing the crime like performing full on now in the visions from the continent girl, and like all that is satisfying. And every great sci-fi has this really good dilemma, particularly like the prediction of the future, and like it's so handled really well here about like, hey, you got two choices here. A, you can shoot me and like the whole program gets discredited, or let me live and then like everything can shut down, normally, and like it proven that the system is flawed, and of course it went a different way, and unfortunately he gets killed, and that was his choice. So it wasn't the precox choice, is like, or the future predicted that, is like he made the decision to like die and not live, because he knew he was going to be in trouble and put in prison and whatnot. So I really liked that ending, and I thought it's really satisfying. The epilogue is where I have a problem, because I always think, like a lot of analysis people and all that, and commentators of the film, like I think you don't know if that, like the ending we got here before the epilogue, could be real. Like it could be like a very exception way, like maybe all this is not real, like John getting out, because like that is kind of convenient, that the wife has the eye, and like and so just a lot of variables is like how you could get him out this way, all that. Like you can make that ending more ambiguous, like Exception or The Matrix, the first film, or Dark City, like that kind of ending. But they went the way. It's very clean cut. That's fine, but I don't need that whole epilogue about like, oh, the pre-crime is shut down, and I'm happy that that Tom Cruise character and the wife is gonna get another chance to be parents. I feel like the ending was too sappy, and it felt like oh, like Steven needed to like remind people like, oh, don't worry guys, you're watching a Steven Spielberg film, and it's like like I don't like Steven, like come on, you did Saving Private Ryan, you did Schindler's List, for God's sake, and like you can make a good like sad and like like melodrama ending. It's like I don't know why you need this epilogue. So I'm very mixed with the ending, but it's overall a satisfying sci-fi, murder mystery like film, and it's really good. I like it. I don't like the ending doesn't take down the movie for me. It's still a great film.
Okay, Matthew, more to watch.
If you give someone an earpiece at the end of a movie, I'm fucking all in. It's just as simple as that. The fact that he rings, he gets given the earpiece, and it all plays out, and he's got all the evidence, he knows what's going on, and the fact that no one else knows, the whole party's there for him, and then suddenly they start playing the crime on the screen. I'm in. I thought that was a really good ending. I'm a bit like, I agree with Andres though. I don't, it's definitely just Spielberg going, you know what, we haven't done anything soppy this movie, so we're just going to finish it on the perfect ending. The question to that is if there's nothing that I think, nothing happened in the movie for them to get together. Nothing resolved the issues that they had as a couple. She says that I can't look at him without seeing my son. That's never going to change. Like, are we just assuming that because he's no longer a drug addict and it's happy days now? I think that's the only thing. If something had happened, sure, she does help him, and they do love each other, but, you know, sometimes love isn't enough. There's been a million songs written about that. And I think that's the only thing. So I tend to agree with Andres that it probably isn't needed, the ending, but the whole, you know, Max von Sydow play out, I'm in. I think it's great. And it's disappointing that we don't... I guess we get all the information to create this bad guy at the end. But as J-Rent said, it's a murder mystery. But sometimes it's nice to get some breadcrumbs, because it was just a massive misdirect with Colin Farrell. We just thought he was the big bad of the movie. And it would have been nice to get some breadcrumbs. But I sort of forget about that when the earpiece goes in. I'm in a state of euphoria. So that's it for me. Great movie. Spielberg, well done again.
J-Rat.
The ending, it was fine. It was all right. You know, it had its closure. It wasn't a big splash. You know, he came out of the prison area. You know, he gets the report of him revealing him as a killer in front of his big day for, you know, the cognitive crime or whatever. And he did it on that so people can see that, you know, what he did. And he put him in a position to where he was going to have to prove crime right by murdering him, or prove crime wrong by not murdering him with the ball, the little murder ball, right? So he put him in a really tough position where he was in a lose-lose. And I think at this point, that's when he really felt like trapped and guilty by his decisions in some sort of way, by not killing him for messing it up, but shooting himself when he was like, my boy, forgive me, you know, because initially it was somebody who was supposed to be his friend, his partner that he's known for a long time, someone that knew his wife, knew him. You know, it was kind of interesting that he chose to kill himself, but I think once he realized that his legacy was ruined, it was one of those like I can't live with myself type things, and you ruined me, and I'd rather just die scenario. Kind of sidetrack or go backwards. The ball that came out that shows that he was going to get murdered. We forgot about that part when the agent was with him, and he was like, "Do you hear that?" And he was like, "Hear what? I don't know." He was like, "Exactly. That's the sound of the cognitives not being able to detect a murder." Because remember, he was able to kill him and they couldn't detect it because Agatha wasn't there. I just kind of remembered that when we were talking about it. Thought I'd bring that up real quick. And if we go back, now we go forward, we go back to the ending, and we have the Agatha and the two brothers. I don't think they were actually her brothers though, right? They were just calling them brothers, but they weren't her brothers. They were twin brothers. And they had them in the house on that little island away from everybody. You all remember that?
Yeah.
It was kind of I mean, it was interesting. I mean, we know why they did that, right? Because that way they couldn't hear all the voices or see the futures of people. That was to keep them away from civilization, so they could have like actual peace. It was a simple wrap up ending for it. No problem with it because I got a lot of action and suspense and thrill and some of the emotional investment in it. All around, I thought it was good.
Okay, Ryan, wrap us up.
Definitely. I mean, I think we go back to Batman, and one of the best lines that was ever delivered: "You either die a hero or live long enough to see yourself become the villain." And that was Burgess. If he had killed Anderton, he would prove that pre-crime is correct and his system does work, but he will never get to see the success of his own program because he will be behind bars. or he lets him go and he loses his legacy. It was a lose-lose for him. It was just, how did he want to be remembered? And I think taking himself out of the equation was the best way to stay as neutral ground as possible. Now, funny enough, going back to what Matt said, how does his wife and him just reconcile when they literally kind of hated each other? I can only assume that she made him hold up the little mask for like the rest of their life. He's just in bed, like just one hand holding the mask up, and she's just pretending it's Colin Farrell or someone. Just keep the mask on, keep the mask on. Hey, and they got a child out of it. It was a nice wrap up. I think the party and like playing the crime. There's nothing better than watching someone gallivant at their own party and just admiring their own empire, and just everyone behind them is just watching the kingdom just fucking crumble right behind them. It's one of those best things when you just see them, even when like someone goes on a tangent, they're like, this is why I'm so great. And then just slowly, brick by brick, someone behind them is just pulling out the entire thing. It was a great ending. I would have to agree with everyone on the ending. I don't need a sappy ending. This wasn't a love story. This wasn't a feel good story. I mean, this was murder at its finest. That's what we're here for, is more murder. I think I appreciated the ending more, considering that we obviously got the TV show after the movie, and seeing kind of where it branched off. Part of me wonders if Steven did end it that way just so he did have the opportunity where he didn't leave our characters in so much turmoil that he could make a second movie or do the show, which obviously we only got one season of, which was decent. And obviously that's the whole reason of the show.
I had no idea they made a show.
Yeah, it only got one season. The civilians find out about the precogs after everything's been shut down, and then exactly what they didn't want to happen is what happens in the show. Someone's like, well, wait a minute, I could just steal one of these precogs and I can totally manipulate the system with no interference.
Yeah.
So I have a feeling that that's somewhat to a degree why they ended the movie they did. As we're talking off air, and even in the beginning, this for the early 2000s will always be, and even now, I think in your top 50 sci-fi films of all time, and the influence it impacted a lot of movies going forward.
Okay. All right. Give me a rating. Give me a 1 through 10 on this one, Ryan.
Ooh, easily a 9. It's almost a 10. There's just a few things that I would like to change. It's right on the verge of being a 10, but I think solid 9, if not 10, easily.
Okay. Andre's a pop culture guy, sir. What's your rating?
I'll give it a 9.5 out of 10. This is really tough because, I mean, I don't want to bring another film, but like this 2002, he also did Catch Me If You Can, another great film. And it's so tough because I think Catch Me If You Can is a better movie and has a way solid structure. With this movie, I feel like the structure is good. I just think it's a little too long, and I don't need the epilogue, slash the slappy end, the sappy ending. But it's a really great accomplishment film, a great compilation with Tom Cruise and Steven Spielberg. I mean, this movie was going against Spider-Man, Star Wars Episode 2, the Attack of the Clones, Man in Black 2, and the fact that it did well that year, it's very impressive. So 9.5 out of 10. I highly recommend everyone to see the film. It's a great sci-fi film. Minor things, but it doesn't hog down the film.
J. Rent.
Absolutely, a 9 to 10 for me. Probably one of my favorite movies to watch with Tom Cruise. I'm a big Tom Cruise fan, but absolutely enjoy that movie. I could watch it, anytime it comes on, if everybody wants to see it. So it's a good movie to watch if you haven't seen it.
Matthew from Born to Watch. Your rating, sir?
Yeah, 8.5 out of 10 for me. I think it's excellent. Love it. It's definitely rewatchable. I think it's a movie that you can go back to. I think great performance, understated performance from Tom Cruise. again, you know what you're going to get from a Spielberg movie. He's crushed it again. And, luckily we also get them again a couple of years later with War of the Worlds. So, which I think is almost as good, quite a bit darker, but almost as good as this one. So, well done, 8.5.
Okay. All right. Well, thanks, guys. I appreciate everybody jumping in and coming on and doing Minority Report with me. Very enjoyable. I'm going to plug you guys out so we can call this one over. Andre's the Pop Culture Guy. I'm going to start off with you. Tell us what's going on over at Andre's Pop Culture Guy channel presents.
Sure. Hey guys, this is Andre's Pop Culture Guy presents, or Pop Culture Guy. I just want to thank everyone for joining us today for this awesome review of Minority Report. Just want to say thank you, Ryan, Jan Rand, and Matt coming for tonight. It was really fun. So I've just been posting my retrospective/reviews on 80s movies that had their 40th anniversary. That I did with the MCU Bleeding Edge and another podcast, the Awesome Middle Age podcast. So you see there Friday night, Max, me on Thunderdome, and Beyond Thunderdome and Breakfast Clubs are there. Tonight I'm going to post my In the Mouth of Madness retrospective/review. I did a new short today on the Sonic the Hedgehog, the first film, short review. So check that out. Next, so our next live stream review will be on the Zack Snyder Justice League movie. So I want to do that for my next live stream review. I haven't posted that yet. But still check out my first 2025 live stream review of In the Mouth of Madness. Thank you, Jeff, for joining me in that. That's where I'm at right now. So thank you everyone for joining us tonight. I hope you guys enjoyed this live stream review of Minority Report.
So we're gonna do the Snyder cut.
Yeah, I mean it's badass, and I mean it's better than the Whedon cut,
Exactly.
Okay. Yeah, I've always wanted to do a Snyder cut. That sounds like fun. J-Rat, I know you haven't done anything. You probably haven't done anything new in a while, but tell us about J-Rat 2000's Podcast Odyssey.
Yeah, what's going on? Again, thank you everybody for having me on. It was fun to talk about one of my favorite movies of all time. Usually I'll do movie reviews, do interviews on my podcast. You can find it on Spotify. You can find it on Apple. I do have a Facebook. You can always go on my Facebook. You can always message me if you have any, fresh ideas. Right now, I'm in hibernation. I haven't done anything this year or the end of last year, but, at some point, going to get it back together and come up with some new content. Right now, we're just laying low. Don't want to flood it too much right now. So if you want to hear some stuff, go check it out. If you like it, you can always message me.
There you go. All right. It's good to see you, J-Rat. Appreciate you coming out tonight, man. Thank you, brother.
For having me. Sorry I was late.
Yeah. Cyber couldn't make it tonight. He had to go out and do something with the wife for her birthday. So
good for him.
This was actually his movie. He picked this. Matthew, Born to Watch.
Yeah, Born to Watch, the movie podcast where we don't take ourselves or the movies too seriously. We have a lot of fun. 4 old mates, it's just like we're sitting around talking shit about movies. We're coming up on our 150th episode, so you can find us on YouTube, on Spotify, on Apple, and it's just a lot of fun. We just recently covered E.T., which was, I'm afraid to say, I was a blubbering mess at 49 years of age. So it still has the same effect that it did in 1982. So yeah, look, we're having a lot of fun. We've got a big year planned. Been a little bit quiet on YouTube, but trying to ramp up on there as well. So Born to Watch, come and have a listen. Have a lot of fun.
That's right. We support Born to Watch. It's a good podcast. Ryan.
Yes, sir.
Let me see if I can pull you up the right spot here. You want me to pull up your Instagram, did you? Beyond the Cave.
Yeah. Perfect place to go. It'll link you to all of our YouTube and our Spotify. We do a lot of comic book creations and interviews. We're just joining a new network, the Uncensored Nerds Network, coming up. lot of interviews. Who we just had Kevin Shinnick, who was a writer for Robot Chicken and was the host of Where in the World is Carmen Sandiego. I got Brian Polito coming up, the creator of Lady Death from Chaos Comics. And we're working with some people from Image Comics, and we just kind of do anywhere 6 to 8 interviews a month, try to get recent comic book creators or pop culture icons from, like I said, comic book writers. Leah Montalongo, who was the original Sindel from Mortal Kombat. So we range it, just try to have fun and kind of get their side of the story and how they got into things.
Awesome. Appreciate you. Thanks for coming on, Ryan. It's always good to see you, brother.
Always.
Hopefully we'll have you back again soon. Same thing to you,
sure.
Matthew. Andres, appreciate you. J-Rat. Folks out there, we hope you enjoyed the review. I hope that, everybody that came on, tonight enjoyed the review. You have a great rest of your weekend. Have a great rest of your Friday. It's almost Saturday. We've got about it's about 11, almost 11:15. Everybody enjoy the review. I definitely did. I love Minority Report. It's a great film. God bless everybody. God bless Donald Trump. Like Matthew said, God bless Sky News. We'll see you later. Peace.
See ya.